TCU and Baylor, big noon kickoff. It is the 12 Eastern kick on Fox. How much did we learn from LSU almost falling to Arkansas last week? Because I got to be real with you, this game feels exactly like that. Remember what happened? Let me refresh everyone's memory. LSU upsets Bama, just like TCU just upset Texas, for example. And everybody's flying high, and everyone's talking about what they could do and how far they could go. And then Vegas says, well, you're going to go on the road this week, and we're going to favor you by 3. And there you go. TCU on the road against Baylor. Baylor just got smashed by Kansas State. And TCU is going on the road, and they're favored by 2.5 or 3, depending on where you look. And some of the same folks who lost their you-know-what on LSU minus 3.5 are going to do the exact same thing here with TCU. The difference is TCU may cover. Who knows? That's why we do the game prediction. So it is a back-to-back road spot for them. It is a revenge spot for Baylor. Do you remember this game last year? This was the one where Baylor went on the road and they lost by 2. And that was the day TCU did not even have their starter. And that stuck with Dave Aranda. Very next week, Baylor comes home and they upset Oklahoma. We were there for that one. So here's part 1 for Baylor. You got to do more of what Texas did last week. I mean, Texas ground that TCU offense to a halt, and that's not easy to do because even after that's baked in to the statistical profile for TCU, they're still averaging 40.5 a game. So even with that, what did they score, 17 or 13 or whatever they scored last week? Even with that, 40.5 per game. Can't have that, because I cannot count on Baylor to match that. So that's the first thing you need to do. Defensively, got to do a little bit of what Texas did. And number 2, this team here, TCU, 13 touchdowns of 50-plus yards. By a mile, that leads FBS. The second closest team has like 9 of them. You hear what I said? 13 touchdowns of 50 or more yards, not 20, 50 or more. Quentin Johnson, you're watching him on your screen right now. Enjoy him while he plays on Saturday because the Sunday game's about to get their hooks in him before too much longer. Stats and info comes to me today. And it is paper pop worthy, what I'm about to read to you. Max Duggan. So what do you know about him? Well, he's having a phenomenal season. He's playing quarterback for TCU. Golf clap for Max Duggan, okay? But here's where it's time for a round of applause for Max Duggan. He is one of 3 quarterbacks to start 10-0 with 25-plus touchdowns and 3 or less turnovers in recent history. We don't even know how far back this goes. The only guys who have done it like this were Mac Jones in 2020 and Justin Fields, I think, in 2019 or something like that. Those guys were really, really, really good. And out of nowhere, from the top rope, from the rafters, here comes Max Duggan in Sting attire saying, you think that's good? Watch what I'm about to do in Fort Worth with a new head coach who doesn't even name me the starting quarterback coming out of fall camp. Yeah, all that's real. All that really happened. We're probably going to see Baylor be surprisingly aggressive. If I just had to guess here, I think they'll be surprisingly aggressive offensively because think about where they are right now. They're in a situation where they've already lost, I think, 4 games. They have underachieved relative to expectation this year. They just got smoked doing it conventionally last week. They've got to try new things. They've got to do things that are unnatural for what they have done so far this year. That's common sense. Okay, you don't even have to know football to understand that. The question is, do they get in a situation where they're having to trade points and keep up, or do they find the ability to slow TCU down? Is it a game played in the upper 20s or the low 40s? I mean, that probably makes all the difference in the world here. As good as TCU is on 3rd and 4th downs, Baylor's defense is bottom 25 nationally. That's what has to change. And in a one-game setting, it can. Not quite as random as turnover margin, but 3rd down conversion percentage. In a one-game setting, your bottom 25 national unit, if you hold them to like 5 of 13 or 4 of 13, yeah, you can end up winning the game. You can end up flipping the game. But that's rough. I mean, they give up 45.8% 3rd down conversion percentages. That is very un-Dave Aranda-like. Let's take a look at what the model thinks. The number right now in Vegas, TCU minus 2.5. The model is, it's feeling what the odds makers are feeling. In fact, We've got TCU minus 1.5. I think that a lot of you look at that and you can't wrap your mind around it because you can't get past what you just saw. And all I can tell you is it is all about regression and progression to the mean. Baylor is not as bad as you saw last week. TCU, probably not quite as good as you saw last week. You just saw one sample of a game. If you simulated each one of them 1,000 times, you saw 2 outliers worth of results. Having said that, I can't wrap my mind around it either because I don't know how in the world Baylor slows them down and combines a good enough offensive performance to get this done. So if you think TCU is a sucker bet here, I'll be the sucker with you. I'm not actually laying money on it anyway. We're just holding hands and we're going along for the free ride. I'm going to take TCU to win, and I'm going to take them to cover in Waco, and that's that. TCU right now, the minus 140 odds-on favorite to win the Big 12 championship. They are highly favored to face Kansas State. That's the matchup we're probably going to get. We've already seen it, by the way, and it was a tale of two halves, wasn't it? Kansas State had a 28-10 lead, and they lost. Yes, so a lot of intrigue still left in the Big 12, even at this late hour. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me. That's how we keep this entire thing free.